Let's take a tour of our state
I'm a
capital.
project manager with Real Estate and Construction, which is a division of the administration department. And background is I'm an architect, but most of my career has been working as a project manager for various, several different public entities.
How long have you been tied into this building?
About two and a half years. So
2 years.
Relatively short. Yes.
And now let's look up, because we see from down here on the rotunda floor that the dome has been covered with plastic so workmen can work above and not drop things on people's heads down below. Now we're outside and up top at the level of the horses.
This area here has, the joints have been, the old mortar has been taken out and has been tuck pointed, and there's
Oh, indeed,
patches.
they look smooth and perfect.
Yeah, and there's patches in some areas that, so this area has largely been done.
Notice the netting on the scaffolding here. That's to protect the horses in every way so nothing can fall on them.
Yeah, and this was, we left it up here for the winter rather than have the expense of taking it down. But we do have some additional work on the stonework. There were some areas that we found.
And now, with its porous nature, the weather invades the marble. Pollution, algae
like in
even
that
grows
dark
in
discolored
these dark
area on the
areas we
column?
see here.
Every year we do about $25,000 worth of re-gilding and repair on the quadriga, and typically that's more towards the back of the sculpture. With other work going on last summer, we had a chance to get at the front portion of the sculpture, and so we had a conservator worked on the front part of this and for about 4 or 5 weeks.
It's like this that looks so open and porous. It wasn't like that when it was first put up, was it?
No, this actually here is fairly smooth. And some of the entryways where it's undercover, you know, it's outside but protected from it's, you know, those are to be right angle, sharp edges of them.
Will you take them back to that condition this time you're working on them? We can't really hear Harvey Jaeger here, but he points out this is not really a restoration project. This is simply a repair project currently to keep out water.
Those are the areas that have been patched in the past. You can see it blends in fairly well.
But we're talking a couple decades ago here?
Probably could be even more. Here's some areas of patches. This looks more recent, right through there.
It's a living building. What do you put on this to seal it up, Harvey?
There isn't a sealer on it.
You don't?
There had been a sealer put on, I don't know just when, but and we aren't really sure how much of the building
Is
had
it a good idea to do that or not?
It's a very controversial thing. You find some experts say yes, and there's other experts that say no.
Or that it could even hold the moisture in for you. And here we are in the rotunda dome, above the plastic tarp that we saw from the floor.
There was an opening about 8 inches in diameter at the top of the dome, which the chain and electrical wiring for the chandelier came through, and that dropped down, and the chandelier is now sitting on the floor, and it's being cleaned, and it'll be rewired later this month. And
when was the last time that came down then, you think?
30 years ago.
30 years?
Yeah. And
pretty dirty.
Very dirty. It's tan, and it'll look more like wicker than crystal.
And up here, Harvey Jaeger showed me a number of places where there is water damage. Here we're missing a part of the mural. And you have to admire the scaffolding system a bit here too. It's not touching there in the middle. It's suspended from the ceiling. And 2 men can rotate it around by just pushing it. That's what's above the plastic right now in the rotunda. They're not touching the fabric.
Unless somebody points you really to it, you don't really see it until you get closer. And so,
but we
doing
can
this
see with
other
our eyes up here, hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage.
Yeah,
when you think of it, really.
Yeah, and so when this repair work that we were doing, it really allowed us to look at some things closely that we really hadn't had an opportunity for many, many years. And you know, when we get close, we found that there's other things that need to be done, and until we had the drum wrapped with scaffolding,
You didn't really know what your dome was like?
See things. All you could see is what you could look up at. When you can look straight at or down at something, you're able to see.
How about the sticky aspects of how do we pay for this? How are we funding this? Is there always a perpetual fund to pay for the dome?
No. The money right now is coming from an appropriation from 2008 for asset preservation. Legislature appropriated that, and that's mainly to help keep a building watertight and do some badly needed repairs, and also to deal with some ventilation systems that are very old and need to be repaired. And so that's the pool of money we're working with at this point.
Do we have enough? Now that you've taken a good look, do you think that there's going to be enough in that pool? Do you might have to ask for more or extend the project?
That pool had about $13.5 million, and further study is being done about other work that needs to be done, but it's going to take a considerable amount to.
That's the total project right now is $13.5 million.
Yes, and that's not just the dome. The dome is about $4 million out of that.
And then Harvey Jaeger would take me to one last inner space. Way up at the top, we would be up on top of the inner dome and look down. And then he would show me the unique structure of the Minnesota State Capitol. We have 3 domes inside each other. It's a surprise then, I think, for most people that there are 3 domes. This is the outer dome right here, an inner dome, a middle dome. And then we were standing on the tile inner dome, the 3rd dome. Huh. Interesting. A surprise.
So, and then right here it's masonry, and the masonry gets a little bit thinner as it goes up to reduce weight, but then on the outside there's the marble that you see on the outside of the building.
Cass Gilbert designed a beautiful Capitol building. He knew he was fighting moisture with marble. That's why he designed 3 concentric domes. The middle one is just to collect moisture. In Minnesota, you can't walk away from a building for long. The weather destroys things here. It will take all of us to stay committed to this building, to keep it standing and keep it beautiful.